Lovely, thank you. We'll start with an update on the team news. Danny Ward and Jonathan Hogg were due back in training this week, so are they going to be available for you on Saturday?
Yes, I think both players both were making the training with the group. Not the normal training because they couldn't train complete all the week, but both players have options to be available to travel with the squad.
That's great news. I understand that Danny Ward played for the B team in the win over Rochdale as well. How important for him to get some more minutes in the build-up to the weekend?
Very important because we know that he was long time without play any minute in the competition. We are trying to accelerate his recovery during this period of time. We try to, his readaptation to the football level, to the football demandings, because for us it was important to have him ready to help the squad. And we were thinking that to play these 30 minutes that he was playing with the B team yesterday were important minutes to help in this process.
Hogg not involved in that game though. Was there any reason for that?
No, Hogg is different because the number of days that he was without the team is totally different. Like Danny Ward is a London champ without play any minutes with the team from Millwall when we were playing at home. He was playing the last minutes, and Hogg is totally different because he was missing 4 games, the last 4 games after Swansea. So I think the period of his recovery is totally different.
Tommy Elphick playing 90 minutes too in that B team game this week. How likely is it that we might see him return to the first team picture before the end of the season?
I think it's very positive for Elphick to have the opportunity to play these minutes and to start to see the light in one process that for himself was very, very tough and very hard, because when you are a lot of time out of the football, your mind needs to be the light a little bit and to recover the dream to come back to football. So I think all these minutes and all the trainings are helping him a lot to feel football player again, because never is easy to be in one period like he was living so far.
I suppose when you've been out for such a long time as well, mentally you have to get yourself back into the right place as well as physically.
Yes, no doubt. I think mentally it's easy to come back, because as soon as you are watching the opportunity to play and to make the trainings, very fast you are going to recover your level of motivation, because you are watching that you are in the end of one long process. After physically for me it's different, because when one player is 18 months without play with the team, it's a long time, long time. Then it's going to take some time to recover his normal levels as a player to can compete in the championship. I cannot tell you about the future, I don't know. I only can tell you about what I watch right now, and I watch one player that need to continue make trainings, need to continue winning confidence, need to continue having the adaptation, and I cannot tell you what is going to happen with his future, because I don't know how it's going to be his development.
And just finally on
Catherine.
Have you?
Sorry, Catherine, we have lost you at the beginning.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, you're there.
Hello.
Sorry, yeah.
It was just to say you haven't picked up any fresh injuries after the Cardiff game?
No, I think the week is being positive. We are in one period of the year where we cannot train a lot, because the accumulation of the games in the legs of the players that are playing many minutes make us to cannot work with the same intensity as we would like. But I think it's been a positive week where we recover the feeling to can work and to can prepare one game.
Yeah, how useful has it been to have a full week without a midweek match so you can prepare for QPR on Saturday?
Yes, I would say that sometimes you compete better when you are playing a role because you have the ability to compete. But when you have 1 week like that one, you can train and you can prepare more, and you can help in the recovery of the players after the game. You can help them in the adaptation of the next game. So I think has been something positive, because the team, after playing 7 games in a row, needed a little bit the break that we had in the weekend, and after needed the work that we were doing during the week.
11 games of the season left, and obviously the intention is to get to a position of security as soon as possible. How many wins do you think it will take to get to that point?
I never want to think about what is going to happen, because I cannot control these things. The only thing that I can try to control is to prepare very well the next game, because I know how hard is going to be the game versus QPR. I know what is the dynamic of this team, and my only concentration have to be in game by game.
What do you make of QPR this season?
I think they have changed a little bit in the players, and a little bit too in the style. More in the style, maybe more in the shape, because at the beginning of the year they were playing with 4 in the back, and now they are playing every game with 3 central backs and 2 wing backs. So they have changed a little bit about this. In this line of 4, they have introduced, in this line of 5, sorry, they have introduced a new player, the central back that they signed from Hull City. After they are playing with 2 midfielders that they have signed in this market, one from West Bromwich and Johansen. So they are playing with 2 midfielders that they weren't at the beginning of the year. And now they are playing with Austin, one striker that he wasn't at the beginning of the year neither. He won one signing that they did in the January market. So I think they are having the new players. They are having 4 players in the first 11 that at the beginning they didn't play. They weren't in the team, and now they are having a lot of minutes. They are important in the middle of the pitch and in the high part of the block and in the back of the defenders. So I think they have changed because they have structured the team in another way with this type of players. They are playing more, like I told you, with 5 in the back or 3 because the wing backs attack a lot, with 2 midfielders, and after with 1 playmaker and 2 striker with a lot of versatility and a lot of movement. So I think the coach have selected a very good team and in a very good shape to can make them better. And that's why I think in the last 11 games, if I don't remember bad, they lost only 2 games. They win 3 games of the last 11. In the league games, they draw 1 of the last 11 and they won 7 of the last 11 games. So it means that the dynamic of the team is being very positive.
Is the best way to cause them some problems then to stick with a similar formation to the one you used against Cardiff with 3 at the back and 2 up front? Is that the formation you're likely to go with again?
Probably, yes. I think so.
And why do you think that's the best approach to getting a result at QPR?
I don't know if it's going to be the best or no. I can tell you this after the game, but I think more or less thinking in the players that we have, in the players that they have, be similar is something that I think is adapted to the game that we are going to face with them.
As we mentioned, there's 11 games of the season left, and quite a few key players are out of contract or their loan deals expire this summer. Are you already starting to think about, who's going to be here long term at Huddersfield Town, players you might like to offer a new deal to? Can you think about that yet?
No, being honest, no. Because I think not only my not only my focus and attention, the focus and attention of the club and the focus and attention of the players is being just to prepare every game, because now we are in a very important moment of the year, and all our energy, all our attention need to be very concentrated in the games that we are going to play.
How soon can you start planning for the future then?
I think we cannot talk about one future that nobody knows what is going to be the future. So what we can be thinking is the present that we have right now. And like you say, 11 games left is not a lot of number of games. So I think about the future, we will have time to talk in the future. But now in the present, we need to talk about the present. And the present for me is QPR.
Does that kind of mean that the sooner you can secure championship status, the better, because you then have more time to be able to look longer term?
No doubt, this is the best for every team, but at the same time, we need to be prepared to be fighting for our target until the end, because the most important thing is to arrive at the end of the year and to feel that we get our target.
That's great. Thank you, Carlos.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Catherine. Stephen, we'll move to you, please.
Hi, Carlos. Alex Pritchard appeared for the B team as well yesterday. Is he in contention for a place at the weekend?
I think after the injury that he had, he was recovering to the trainings at the beginning of this week. We're thinking that to play this game, these minutes with the B team, were important for him because accelerate the process to can be available with the squad. And I think after the minute that he was playing, he's going to be one of the options that we have. But after, we need to decide what is the player that adapt better to the formation, to the idea, or to the part of the year now.
Yeah, and apologies if I missed this earlier, but do you have any new injuries for this weekend at all?
No. Like the week was well. We know that some of the players that have the habit to play many minutes this year, then we need to be managing about how we prepare the next games, depend about the minutes that we think that they can accumulate. During the week, we were adapting to the number of trainings, to the options, to the minutes that they could managing well. So I think now the team the full squad arrived in condition where everyone can be available for the team. Every player that was involved in the previous game, plus Hawk and Danny Ward and Pritchard.
That's great news. With Jonathan Hogg coming back, the obvious person for him to replace would seem to be Alex Vallejo. He's been playing well, though. That's a difficult decision to make.
Very positive to have two players who can play in the same position and to have the option to play with both. I think both players can play together too, because for me, Alex can play as a central back and Hogg can play in the middle. Alex can play as a number 8 and Hogg can play in the middle. Hogg can play as a central back with a 3 and Vallejo can play in the middle. So I think, or you can play with Hogg or with Vallejo, depending on the play that you want to use in the back or in front. So I think it's always positive to have more than one option to can play in each position.
It's a similar story at centre-back as well, isn't it? Richard Keogh did really well in the last game, and you've suddenly got a lot of options there after several players have come back from injury.
I think it was important to recover Steelman, and it was important to recover Mongri too, because from a long time we had only the option to play with Saar and with Keogh, and right now we have the option to play with Chris Lowe too, and with Emon Green too, and at the same time with Steelman, and to have these possibilities always help, because when you are playing many games in a row, always to have a little bit of break or rest help you to can perform better in the next game. So have these possibilities always for me is positive for the team.
Yeah, I think that's everything for me. Thank you, Carlos. Good luck.
Thanks, Stephen. Stuart, we'll move to you, please.
Hi, Carlos. I just wanted to ask, have you personally enjoyed the opportunity for a bit more time on the training ground this week? Yes,
it's totally different about the normal week. Sometimes you have the habit to play and you miss a little bit to be in the game, but I think it was a necessary break because the players were playing many games in a row, especially in the last. We were playing the last 2 games only with 2 days after Preston. We have only 2 days before Birmingham, and after Birmingham we had only 2 days before Cardiff. So to have the option to kind of stop a little bit and to give the rest to the players they were for me deserving was something positive. And after to kind of start to prepare 1 week with one game with a little bit more of time, I think it's something positive too that the team for me needed, and for us was being positive, a positive week too.
And at this stage of the season in training, are you able to change much, or is it just a case of trying to do things better at the moment?
I think it's different when you start the year than right now. I don't think now the trainings can have the same duration than the beginning. I think now the trainings need to be shorter. At the same time, you need to keep the intensity, even if it's in a short period of time. You need to keep the intensity that after the competition is going to demand, because as soon as you start to decrease the intensity, you are going to have more problems to adapt to the intensity of the real games. So I think it's a little bit of balance now, trying to reduce the time, but trying to keep the stimulation that the competition is going to demand you. And after the team, you need to find the balance. You need to adapt, be very adaptive now. We need to adapt about the individual needs of each player, because now it's different. For example, when Danny Ward came to the trainings, we cannot say that was a player that was accumulating many trainings. So, for example, to increase the work with the team will be something positive for him. And other players are totally different because they are playing in a row and they need more a short period of training. So I think one thing is the general idea with the player, but like the situation with each player is different. We need to have the possibility to adapt about the needs of each group of players.
And are those decisions mainly based on information from the sports scientists?
I think for everything, we always analyze, we have always a subjective test before to the trainings to see what are the conditions, what was the impact of the previous training in the player. We need to analyze too the habit of the players in the last months. So when, for example, some of the players doesn't have the habit to training more than 3 days in a row, then you cannot train in 4 days, because you are increasing the risk of the injury. It's something that we want to avoid right now. So I think depend about the habits of the players, depend about the kilometers, the high intensity runnings that they are doing too. We can adapt a little bit, and depend about how many consecutive days they can be in the pitch too. Because for me there are 2 important aspects that you need to evaluate. First of all, the numbers that the players are doing in the trainings, and the second thing, the number of consecutive days that the players can be in the pitch. And always with these 2 values, and after the same time the feeling of the players, we try to make the best decision that we can.
And how important do you think this week has been for Yaya Sanogo in terms of his adaptation to the demands of the Championship?
I think we took a little bit of risk in the previous game, given the minute that we gave to him. But I was thinking that he was managing well the minutes, and with the pass of the minutes, I was thinking that the player was growing. Instead to have one player that was decreasing his level, I think his level was growing with the pass of the minutes. That's why I personally took the risk to accelerate a little bit his progression on the team, because I took this risk because I am very conscious and awareness about how many games left to the end of the year. I think if you have a full year with him, you don't take this risk and you reduce the number of minutes, because at the beginning, for me, in my opinion, I wanted to play with him just 45 minutes. But I accelerated a little bit this process because I was thinking that the game was demanding to have one striker like him in the pitch. And at the same time, I was feeling that he was managing very well the minutes, because every minute I was watching him more adapted. I was suffering, for example, more in the first 5 minutes of the second half than in the last 10 minutes where he was in the pitch. So sometimes you need a little bit of adaptation. You need to be especially this adaptation to the minutes, adaptation to the game. And I think his adaptation was very positive. And now we need to manage very well too the number of training that he can do and the number of minutes that he can continue playing, because we know that was a player that was a lot of time or 1 year without play games in a row.
And of course, we've said before, he's a very different striker to the other strikers you have. Do you think it gives you something different when Fraser Campbell's able to play alongside Yaya?
Yes, it's no doubt that he offers something that we didn't have before, because we didn't have this profile of players. So he's a player that allows you to can play long, more not to the space, more to the body. He's a player that in the crossing situation is a player that can make an impact, because he's someone that take a lot of attention of the central backs, and he's a player that offers to us, playing back to the goal, the possibility to play, but without drop more, without being in a higher position in the pitch. I think Campbell gives us the option to play with him to back to the goal, but dropping more, because he's more mobile player. And at the same time, for me, Fraser prefers the balls to the space and the balls to the body. It's like both are real different, but at the same time, both can play together, and this is something positive for the team.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Good luck at the weekend, Hans.
Thank you very much.